everybody?
Yes, Mr.
No, I
Chairman.
don't think you do.
Okay.
But, no, because they have to. They have to accept it.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for Thomas Palermo, who was the father of Anne Marie Sargent, our middle school principal. Thank you. Can I get a motion to approve the bills?
So moved. Second.
Any comments?
Before we do that, Mr. Chair, do we need to take the agenda out of order?
I'm sorry. We have to take the agenda.
We don't have to?
Or we haven't gotten to that, you know.
Okay, all right, that's fine. No discussion on that.
All those in favor?
Bills.
Bills,
Bills.
okay.
Yes, everybody? Good, okay. Can I motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from November 9th.
I'll second that.
Motion's been made and seconded. All those in favor? The amended minutes? Thank you. We have a student rep this evening?
Yes, we do.
Spirit Week will continue tomorrow and Wednesday at CHS. Tuesday will be Lookalike Day, and Wednesday will be Green and Gold Day. On Wednesday, the classes will compete in the gym events held at the high school. CHS will have an early dismissal at 10:30 on Wednesday, November 25th. Clinton High School's football team will be playing Maynard High on Thanksgiving morning at 10 a.m. in Maynard. Congratulations to the CHS cheerleaders on making it to the state finals. Their competition took place on Sunday, November 22nd at Algonquin High School. Students and mentors will be attending an evening at the movies on Thursday, December 3rd. They will be attending It's a Wonderful Life. The Mini First competition will be held on Wednesday, December 9th here at CHS. The holiday concert will be held at the CHS Auditorium on Thursday, December 10th. The hats, gloves, mittens, and sock drives at CHS was very successful. 2,140 articles of clothing were collected, beating the previous record by over 500 units. And the food collection in the CHS food drive will be weighed tomorrow, and we are hoping to beat last year's record of 5,055 pounds of food.
Good luck
Thank you.
and congratulations. Thanks. PTA, I don't see Kelly.
No, Kelly cannot make it tonight. She told me today.
Okay, so is there anything?
Nothing there?
All right, so we'll skip over the special needs because I don't think
No.
there's anybody else. CTA, anything this evening?
Nothing
Oh,
this evening.
oh, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Superintendent, I guess you need
Yes.
to
All right.
make a motion to move
yes.
things around, or have us do that.
You do that, or should we go right into action items? There was a major catastrophe today, and that was that the pizza was late. Just was delivered. So we have a lot of parents and our honored students down in the cafeteria enjoying pizza at this time. So we're switching things around a little bit, and we certainly will do the presentation of awards, which is the highlight of tonight's meeting, but we will go down to action items next and go back to presentations at around 7:30 or so. All right, the MOA is, I believe, in your packet. And if there's any questions or concerns, if not, I guess it is time to vote for that.
I need a motion to, for the MOA.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the memorandum of agreement.
I second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Discussion?
Guess I have a question. Guess I have a question as to why in the last meeting the superintendent and business manager weren't involved in that meeting.
Can't really hear you, Steve, I'm sorry.
But question that I have is, in the last meeting that the committee had, the superintendent and our business manager were not involved with that meeting. I guess I was wondering why that was.
That was my misunderstanding of the way the subcommittee was constructed. I thought that it was me and Joel, and that Terry and Karen, while they would be there most of the time, they were there more for advice and to voice their concerns. And I thought that we could talk with the town, just me and Joel. I thought me and Joel were the main subcommittee. I've since been corrected that that is not the case. I've apologized to Terry and to Karen, and my reason for that was that the superintendent was very publicly vocal at the last meeting that this just was a agreement that he was not interested in. And my thinking at the time was we're going into a negotiation, and I wanted people on either side of the table to be people that were looking to come to some sort of a resolution. So it's not the greatest excuse or answer I'm sure you're looking for, but that's the honest truth of what happened.
No, I'm not questioning anything about being truthful or not. It's not coming to doubt at all. I want to be clear on that. I guess my concern is due to the fact that our superintendent was vocal about it, and it is a negotiation. Usually in negotiation, we have two sides of that equation so we can discuss and go back and forth.
Yeah, but there were no points, there were no specific issues that he was that he had with the agreement. It was he was against it, which is his right, is anyone's right to be against it. I know that you were against it from the beginning. Some people were favorable towards it from the beginning. I don't think it would be appropriate for those people to be at that meeting either, because they seem to be happy with the agreement in its original form, and me and Joel were not. So those negotiations were for people on either side that were interested in they were interested in the idea of it, and they just wanted to bring issues and see if they could get some concessions and some if they could negotiate.
Yeah, I don't want to belittle this anymore because it's been going on way too long, but I just think that all parties need to be there. All parties weren't present there. The selectmen were there, the town administrator was there, it's my understanding. Those are parties are all in favor. I think it was important to have the opposing side explain their concerns, whether they're the same concerns over again. That opportunity wasn't afforded. So
What
that's
is it
just-
that you're suggesting,
Can I,
Steve?
may I finish my statement? I'm suggesting they weren't involved in the process. That's what I'm suggesting. I'm not suggesting anything. That was a fact. They weren't involved because they weren't in that meeting.
Okay, but to be fair, the updated memorandum of agreement that came out of that meeting was shared with everyone.
I'm just
did
voicing
it
my
multiple
opinion.
times.
I get a
Yeah.
voice on this board.
Yeah.
They should have been present. That's all I'm saying. I don't have to agree with it. They should have been present, and they weren't. So, that could
Yep.
be misconstrued.
Let me try to wrap this up. Yes, that's true, and I whatever. After it was negotiated by the two school committee members, it still was then sent to the attorney. And the attorney, that we, had some almost minor issues with it. One of the things was a listing of the buildings, and I didn't meet formally with Mike Ward, but we talked informally about those 2 or 3 items that came with the new agreement that Ed and Joel worked on, and none of them were deal breakers. I won't apologize for my feelings. I'll say it again, this is not good for the school department, but I don't have a vote in it, and I understand that. But I can say this agreement is much, much better than it was 6 months ago, that's for sure. And that was the work of certainly, Karen and these two gentlemen. Yes, we weren't at a meeting, but those changes that were discussed at that meeting ended up coming to us, and I'd still be completely against this thing if our attorney had said, no, that's bad, that's not good, whatever. And the attorney, basically said, at this point, it's worth going forward with. There's nothing in there that is going to kill us or whatever. Again, it doesn't change my opinion of it. On a personal level, I was upset that traditionally a school committee, goes along with every administrator, and this is certainly not my call at all. I'm still against it, and I'm against it because there's no plan. But as far as the MOA, we have an MOA. I guess it's time to move forward. I'm certainly willing to support it once we get this done. But really, Karen knows more about school finances than anybody here, or certainly anybody at the town hall. And she has brought up many, many questions that no one can answer, and they readily admit that. It's going to have to be answered as we go forward. And this could be the greatest thing that the school committee has ever done, or it could be the worst thing. And that's why I'm kind of glad my name's not on it. But it's here, and Stephen brought up a good point, but I think it's time we get this sucker off the table. It's been on my mind for an awful long time.
So, we were charged with a task of representing the school department's concerns with the town in reshaping this agreement so that it reflected everyone's concerns. We had several meetings, not just the meeting that Mr. Mendoza cites. Several meetings where we brought forth the concerns, and the town was willing to work with our subcommittee on addressing those concerns. After the first meeting, we had concerns about a loss of control for the school department. The language now reflects that the superintendent has complete control over staffing for custodians, that head custodians would remain grandfathered into their positions, and then, which was also a concern of the Association of the Custodians. That was addressed. There was concern about whether or not we could continue to stay in the agreement with the town and what that would look like. We were able to get language that really puts the control over whether we stay in this agreement basically to the satisfaction of the school committee and the school department. We have had the opportunity to address every concern everyone has put forward, and the language now is strongly in the favor of the school department. Our attorneys even said there wasn't anything that should suggest that we shouldn't be part of this agreement. And I understand that there's a long history of not necessarily knowing the way these things play out on municipal level and the school level, but we had an opportunity as a subcommittee to sit down together, to work with the town, to make sure we had the agreement the way we wanted it. After that last meeting, you had the opportunity to sit with the town manager and fine-tune it. So I understand that there's concern about the control and concern of the unknown, but I don't think the language is bad language. I don't think that it's an agreement that can't work for the schools. I think that it is time to be able to take some of the difficult work that you have on your plate that you're frankly not qualified for, and to to take that idea of managing the facilities department off your plate and to put it in the hands of someone who is hired for that purpose and yet still have control over it. I guess that's all I'll say about it.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, I just would like to add that in the first meeting that we had asked for a list of concerns from the school committee and from the schools, specific concerns that they had with this agreement. And every single one of those concerns has been addressed with the updated memorandum of agreement. So I also understand that people are frustrated or reluctant to move forward, but the subcommittee can only act and only negotiate on the terms and the issues that we think are important and that are presented to us as being important. And in that regard, those concerns that were given to us for these subcommittee meetings were addressed. That's all.
Mr. Chairman, if I may. I mean, and this is the last I'm going to say about it. I appreciate the work that my board members did. All I'm saying is the language is, nice language is all presented way, cross the T's, dot the I's as we want to feed it. The process of if we ever choose to get out, and I hope this works, I really do. I don't want it to not work. I hope that it really does work. That's what I want. But if it doesn't, the language and the process to exit out of this agreement is very difficult at best, and we are not seeing that part of it. We're not, and it seems like people aren't considering that aspect of how difficult it would be to get out of it. But I said it numerous times. I don't want to keep beating a dead horse to death. So that's the last. The process to get out is not an easy one. And once again, if we had a business manager or facility manager like we should have had, like most school systems have, it would be so much easier for the superintendent to do what the role he needs to do. But that's just my take. I don't want to belittle this anymore.
Right, but in the language, even the town has allowed us to decide what we think is, well, if we think the department is not doing a good enough job, we have the ability to say that we don't think they're doing a good enough job, and the town has agreed that if it comes to that point, that they will honor, which is state law, the opt-out clause. So I know that was a point of, concern early with some of the language, and that was a concession that we got from the town, is they said, we'll say the schools can opt out if the department is not doing a good enough job as defined by the school committee. So I just, I understand the concern, but I just don't know what more we can do to make that opt-out. I agree it's not easy, but I don't think it's as difficult as you've been presenting it.
So you're saying
it's
that,
also
but
within our
we
control.
vote on it and that's it? No, that's not the.
No,
you gotta
I
go to town
don't, I
meeting,
know,
right?
exactly,
Okay,
but
so
the
that-
agreement with the selectmen is that this is a memorandum of agreement, it's not a contract. Nothing that we do here can supersede town procedure.
Or general
It's,
law.
Right.
right, it's an agreement with the town that says, if we think that this new department is not doing a good enough job, if we vote and say that at a public meeting, they will honor that opt-out and they will not impede us from getting our budget back. That's what the language says in the memorandum of agreement, and I just don't, there's nothing more that we can do to try to make that opt-out process more manageable.
By law, correct, and I agree with when it comes to the law, okay? And the process that the town has, that their charter has to follow through. All I'm saying, and I don't know why we keep debating this, yes, we can opt out if we get 3 votes, one. That's the first step in the process. Then you got the selectmen have to put it on the warrant, and then the town has to vote on it. All I'm saying is that process is difficult at best. We don't have to agree on that, we're not gonna agree on that.
It's the
So
same
let's-
process we get our school budget on
Correct.
every year.
But what I'm saying is, it's a difficult process to get it through. That's just my opinion. You know, and I'm entitled to that opinion. I've been doing it for a little bit. And you're entitled to yours, and I respect that also. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah. I'd say it's probably been the most contentious issue that's come forward, and I do want to thank the subcommittee for their efforts at making it a better agreement. I'm not really concerned about the possible exiting of the agreement. I think if that came to pass, it'll come to pass. I'm happy with the work that was done by our legal team to make sure that that language is good language. I guess the part of this facilities department is, I've lived in town almost 30 years, and the town has done a terrible job of appropriating money to keep up the facilities that have been under their control forever. I mean, I was at a town meeting early on when we moved here to renovate Town Hall, and they promised that they would allocate money annually to upkeep that Town Hall, which they did not do. And it's needed repairs, which it's had recently, but they never did what they said they would do. And I guess my concern is that the feeling, correctly or incorrectly, is that our money is going to help the town do what they should have been doing all along. They've not stepped up. So now there's a position being created with a pretty high overhead. It's a large salary with an assistant. And I have to agree with the superintendent, there's no plan. So the part of it, I'm satisfied that the agreement is a better agreement. What disturbs me is that with all the information that's available to the town, they could have done more planning on this position and what it would be, as opposed to the way it's set up right now is we're going to figure it out. And what I would say is that if we had come with a proposal to the town that was as vague as this in that regard, I don't think it would have gotten very far. So I think that, yes, they will figure it out, but it's a pretty expensive way to do it. And I think that the evidence that's out there in terms of town records of what the departments have done, what the expenses have been, what the overhead could be, whether you hire a couple of consultants to figure this all out and then structure the department, they didn't do that. And lastly, I would say that I ran into a former school committee member, and that person asked me, so what's in it for the schools? I said, well, I can't really answer that because, I mean, the other part, because the facilities part of this, a facilities director would look after our buildings anyway. Whether we're part of this agreement or not part of this agreement, I can't imagine that the town would hire someone and then they would just look after town hall and the town barn. These facilities are as important as any facilities in the town of Clinton. So anybody that's hired for that position would have that responsibility without giving part of our budget over and that control over to the town. So that being said, I mean, I do appreciate and I do agree that it's a much better and a better worded document. Whatever mistakes were made in terms of meetings, et cetera, I think everybody has come clean on that, and I appreciate your, I had spoken to Ed, I know he had spoken to the superintendent and to Karen, and that's great, and it's water over the dam at this point. So, but I do want to say that, like I said, that our facilities would be looked after, and regardless, anybody in that position would have to look after our facilities, and we would not have to give over that portion of our budget to do it. So, with that, I have to say I'll be very happy to get this past us. There are a lot of issues that are out there that are pending, that are important educationally, and I think as a committee, I look forward to us working, regardless of this agreement, forward on things that will help the students in this district and for us to move forward. So, if there isn't any other comments, I'll take all those in favor of the agreement. 3 and against? 2. So
3-2.
it passes.
Thank you.
I do believe we all have to sign it, regardless.
What's that? Oh, yes. And why don't we, come on in and sit down, folks.
Timing's perfect.
Why don't we keep going, but these are the 2 copies that you guys need to sign both copies, okay? Mr. Chairman, if I may go on, release of executive session minutes. These are in your packet. This is something that we do usually once a year. We had a reminder last meeting by Mr. Martin, and obviously we have nothing to hide. So these are all from, I think, negotiations with the last CTA contract. That's why they hadn't been released up until this time. So they're in your packet, but they are the minutes of the executive board, executive session meeting for, I'm going backwards, August 10, 2015, May 18, 2015, March 9, 2015, January 12, 2015, and October 27, 2014.
I'll make a motion, we approve the executive session minutes.
Second them,
Motion by
Mr.
Tina,
Chairman.
Second by Steve. Thank you.
Any discussion of that? All right, all those in favor?
Thank you. Mr. Rulo. Where is Mr. Rulo gone? We have a request for an early release day from Clinton Elementary.
Good evening.
Hi there.
Okay.
The school department, or the Clinton Elementary School, has gone to trimesters, and due to the fact that we've gone to trimesters, the report card will be out on December 9th, and the following PD, according to the calendar, would be January 28th, which would be the time period we'd have parent-teacher conferences. That's too long of a time period in order to meet with parents. You'd be into your second trimester at that particular time period. So we're requesting that we just have a December 14th parent-teacher conference, and then we would use the 28th as a professional development day for the teachers. So that's our request.
So December 14, it would be like a half day.
It'd be a half a
and
day.
the-
We'd
And
be
that other
leaving-
half would be parent
Parent-teacher
conferences.
and also in the evening.
Yes,
Parent-teacher
yes, yes.
conferences.
I'll make a motion, we approve the December 14th half-day.
I'll second them, Mr. Chairman.
Anybody have any questions or anything? All those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Sure.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, do we want to go on to just this last item before we give our recognition? It's just a nurse leader.
Yeah.
Be quick, okay?
Ed,
Yeah, I had met with the superintendent. Me and Joel had come up with a draft. We distributed it. I met with the superintendent, went over it. We're in agreement with the language. We believe the next step is to, I'll send it out again because it's probably been over a month before people looked at it, so I'll send it out again for people to review. And then we think the union has to look at it, Mr. Hagano?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So they're just gonna look at it and approve the job description, and then the next step from there is just, reviewing the applicants, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So that's the update for,
So that we can end here as far as at least, putting it on the agenda. I'll get that from them and run it by the Clinton Teachers Association, and then we'll post the position and get this going. It's been a long time coming. I understand these guys have been real busy too, so. All right, thank you. All right, are we set, Mr. Hastings? First of all, I want to thank all of you for coming tonight. We're sorry for the pizza malfunction, but we're glad you could be here. Tonight's our best night because we get to honor our outstanding students, and we have several staff members here to do just that. So as your name is called, you guys can get behind here. And as your name is called, we'd like you to come right up to that podium and get the certificate that we have prepared for you. And then usually a little tradition is we walk by this entire committee and shake hands and then maybe head off that way when you're done. Okay? We got the drill? Great. Mr. Hastings.
Good evening, and as Mr. Hagano said, this is always one of the nice that we really enjoy recognizing our students who, through their MCAS scores, are recognized as the recipients of the John and Abigail Adams Scholarship. That scholarship entitles the recipients to free tuition, any state, college, or university for 4 years. They have to, indeed, maintain at 3.0 to keep that scholarship alive. And is also, it should be in sequence as well. In other words, not taking a year or two off and coming back. So it's a very, I know that as parents, you're thinking state school. And of course, your sons and daughters are probably thinking private school. But this is a great, great scholarship for them. It's important to note that this comes about as the top 25% of the class that is sophomores, in this case freshmen as well, when they took their MCAS. Their scores had to be at least 1 advanced and 1 proficient. Now this is the very first group to include their technology score as well. And that means that they have to have at least 1 advanced and 2 proficient in their case, starting with this group. When they were freshmen, they took the technology MCAS exam, and these scores were tied into those 3 MCAS scores. That is something that we really are very happy about, to see the success in that program, because that program, Clinton High School is one of the first groups of schools to initiate the technology program we have here at Clinton High School. One of the very first in the state. And to see the fruits of that now, recognizing through scholarship, is something we're very happy with. So as these are the recipients for the John and Abigail scholarships for state, college, universities in Massachusetts. Maria Arujo. Christian Moretto.
Great job.
John Burke. Rudolph Gomez.
Great job.
Catherine Downing.
Congratulations.
Alyssa Drugan. Caroline Elworthy. Must be something good on TV today. Robert Lee. Okay. Matthew Champagne. Gregory Lucena.
Congratulations.
Brooke Mackey. Salome Maldonado. Francisco Matos. Lucas McDonald. Bridget McKevely. Miriam Mendez. Manuela Morin. Renata Nunez.
Nice job.
Connor Pyatt. Markham Richter.
Great job.
Max Grundy. Braylon Sylvester.
Good job.
Kaylee Smith. Antonia Sousa. Hannah Villanueva.
Great job.
And Garrett Woods, the cameraman. Also this evening, we're very happy to announce and recognize 2 perfect scores on both, one for SAT and the other for MCAS. An MCAS score of a perfect 280. We're happy to announce in math Troy Holland. Troy? And not here this evening, though, for a perfect SAT, perfect score of 800 in math, Max Runge.
I get to give out one award tonight, but before I do, I always, now that I have an audience, I just want to mention a certain charity that we are promoting all the time, but especially this time of year. So I just want to make sure people understand that. I got the privilege recently of doing a survey, and I decided to ask all of the staff of the Clinton Public Schools the 3 words that come to mind when they think of the Clinton Public Schools. And I got probably almost 70% participation rate, and we had all kinds of good words, believe me. And we put them into a word cloud and created T-shirts out of them. And of course, the bigger the word, the more response it got. And so as you can see, there were really no surprises in this whatsoever, none at all right? You see the big words: dedication, caring, community, family, diverse, compassionate. And we're selling these, and I'm not trying to, shake you down or anything, but we're selling these as a fundraiser for the Children's Christmas Fund. And it's kind of odd when you think about it, because the Children's Christmas Fund was started, and this is all some information if anybody would like it, started in probably the 1970s by Clinton teachers and school nurses, who noticed how kids were coming to school, maybe not properly dressed in the wintertime, whatever, and they started a fund, very, very quiet fund, and this is from the teachers. And for some reason, I never gave it up when I left the ranks of teaching. I'm not even sure if the CTA knows that the superintendent runs their fund, but I do. And every year, we buy probably about $8,000 to $10,000 worth of toys for children at Christmas time, warm clothing for kids who need it, and it's something that nobody really knows about. We've kept it a kind of a big secret. It's the original Secret Santa organization. And again, these are from your teachers and your staff members and the people who make a difference in the lives of your children. And so I just wanted to let you know that we are trying to do a little bit of a fundraiser. Sometimes we do a raffle or whatever. The teachers shop. I do some shopping. We do this all quietly. Everything's in a brown paper bag. We give it to parents. We call them in. And we say, here's what your child needed, because we get a wish list from parents. And it's up to the parents to decide if they're giving it, or Santa Claus is giving it, or whomever. And it's just something that I think you should know about your school and your town. And again, that T-shirt kind of goes right into play with all of this, about giving back to the community. And Clinton High is certainly doing that this week with, you heard the announcements, $2,000 worth, 2,000 gloves, mittens, hats, I don't know how many pounds of food tomorrow. So it's happening here, it really is. My last award for the evening is the Superintendent's Award. Each year I get a chance to do that. I talk to the 4 top seniors. The number 1 ranked senior, number 2, number 3, number 4. I do know some superintendents just call up guidance departments and say, give me the number 1 kid, he's going to lunch with us in January. I like to interview the students just to find out what they're thinking, what they think about Clinton High School, what they think about life in general, their plans, their dreams, whatever. And as always, I'm so blown away by these kids, these young people, that, I thought I was probably, doing some good things when I was in high school. It can't compare to what some of these young people are doing in their churches, in their community, and in their school. So we had 4 outstanding students, but the superintendent's award goes to Francisco Matos, the number 1 student.
Let's take that, John Abigail.
Awesome. I'll get
It's
just a
also, in
grade.
a sense, this evening, a recognition of your commitment as parents and grandparents in helping to establish those very important study skills and practices at young ages, and also to encouraging them and being with them during those very difficult days of MCAS and your patience with them. So this evening, recognizing them is also the fruits of your work as well. And also, it's a recognition of the commitment of the teachers. And I was very happy to have the assistance this evening of our guidance counselors, Mrs. Kopecki and Mrs. Solar. So to you as parents, grandparents, congratulations.
Thank you, and feel free to leave our wonderful meeting.
All of us? All of us, Mr.
You
Governor?
worked really hard today, Mr. Hastings, I know you did, especially on that pizza. He's still the meeting to go, he's up in here, right?
Not much, just.
Not much.
I know, yeah, she can't be too, so it's 45 minutes.
Yes, right now. And-
Oh.
Oh, yeah. See, I have to give it now because the dinner is in January. So I mean, the kids are like,
Not losing.
oh, it's unbelievable how close they are. It's just, there's a number 1 student and the other one is, .0256 behind, and the other one is .629 behind. Hey, we give to that fund. You can take that information right over there, and you can send me a check or whatever you want to do.
Why don't they give you the cash and you can do it?
All right, sure.
Okay, there's money.
Oh, thank you very much. Thanks, Tom.
Wow.
I shouldn't be putting it in my pocket, should I?
Probably not. It just doesn't look right.
No, it just doesn't look it.
How much are the t-shirts?
$12, I forgot to say that. $12. Yes.
And where do we purchase them?
Superintendent's office, I forgot that too.
Okay.
We'll have something
So-
in the paper, I
Well,
promise.
we'll mention it on tape since that, I don't know if that
Yes,
got
that's
theirs.
true.
Thanks, Garrett.
No one's coming back.
So the
Yes.
T-shirts are available for $12 at the superintendent's office, and it supports a very worthy cause, so,
I'll even deliver.
well, we heard that here.
Okay, yes, you heard it here. All right, where are we? Old business?
Business.
Old business? Any old business? New business? Public comment? Eh?
Nope.
Nobody? No public comment?
Nope.
I guess we could get a, what?
Okay, so I heard there was mention of a new sound system over at the high school field, but this past Saturday, we had the Spirit Week game events of Powder Puff and cheerleading. We had a kid named Connor Pyatt touch it up a little bit. Even though it is very old equipment, Connor Pyatt got it working very good. But he did tell me though that there is a problem with the sound system in the auditorium that needs to be looked at.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're lining up our warrant articles already for June.
Okay.
And we're looking at some improvements on the athletic complex. One of them was a sound system, maybe a fencing in the part that's not fenced in. But it is true, the sound system in the auditorium at Clinton High has been an issue for a while. We've got a curtain that needs fixing.
Yeah, it's Batman.
So-
A few years now. Yeah.
It really needs it. It's just for the
Have we ever gotten-
the original pardon?
Have we ever gotten an estimate on it?
I do have one.
On the,
Yeah.
on the sound
Well,
system?
Oh, sound system.
No, not that, no, I just.
Because
got
that's been
one.
an issue
When
for a
Mr.
while.
DeVoe
years
came
now.
through, we looked at the curtain, we did get an estimate.
Okay.
of the curtain. It's about 3,500 maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. But the sound system, no.
We should get it, we should
Glad
get
to
it.
go ahead and-
I think we should get an estimate on it, so we know.
Okay. I'm sure Ms. Myford would have a network of, as musicians and
Okay.
sound. And,
That'd be great.
yeah, we'll find something.
All right. Anything, any other comments? There being none, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So move.
Motion's been made
Seconded.
and seconded.
Is there still pizza?
Yes, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Are we in the cafeteria?
We are, yeah.
Okay. Excuse me.